Hey everybody, it's David Duford here at Buy Life Insurance for Burial, where I help people like you get quality final expense life insurance. So in today's video, I'm going to be discussing the best term life insurance for seniors while also revealing the companies and rates I think are best. So most likely you're watching this because either yourself is interested in some sort of term life insurance and you want to get the best value that you can find, or maybe you're shopping for somebody you love to get them a quality term life insurance product. If this describes you, then make sure you stick around for the entirety of this video, because we're going to do a very detailed analysis of what term insurance is, describe how it is, and then look at some options and prices based on some of the variables involved in getting qualified for a term life insurance product for seniors. So let's get started. So today's overview, we're first going to introduce you to myself as well as my company so you can get to know me a little bit better. And then I'm going to answer the first question is, how does term life insurance work for seniors to begin with? Then we'll talk about reasons why seniors purchase term life insurance, and then give you the best term life insurance options available for seniors. We'll talk about insurance riders. These are things that are included in addition to the term life insurance product. And then answer the question you may have about getting an exam or maybe passing up on it, whether it's optional or not. We'll talk about that in detail. And then we'll answer the question of how much term life insurance coverage can you actually qualify for as a senior. Maybe you think your age has some component that would restrict you from getting coverage. We'll cover that in detail. We'll also take into consideration what if your health is bad, how you can handle that. Then we'll end up by talking about how to qualify for term life insurance as a senior, and then how to take the next steps. So my name is David Duford. I'm the owner of BuyLifeInsuranceForBurial.com. Again, I specialize in helping seniors with purchasing life insurance coverage. And I've been licensed as a life insurance agent since 2011. I've helped over 3,000 families with their life insurance needs since I've gotten started. I'm also a published author. I have several books published. The one most relevant to you probably be The Official Guide to Buying Final Expense Life Insurance. That's over there in the lower left-hand corner. Also, I recruit and train agents nationally. I have an insurance company or insurance agency that you probably have seen on YouTube if you've seen some of my other videos. And I train agents to basically go into their community and help people like you with their life insurance needs. And last but not least, I'm married, and at the filming of this video, we're expecting our fourth child really at any time. I might even get the phone call here while I'm doing this, so wish us luck. So let's start off by first answering, what does term life insurance mean? How does it work for seniors? So the definition of term life insurance is simply, term life insurance provides a death benefit payout over a predetermined period of time, a block of time. So what I mean by that is that when you buy a term insurance policy, essentially what happens is that coverage is good for 10 years, 15 years, 20, 30 years, whatever the specific length of time is. And if you die within that period of time, whatever the amount of coverage is on the policy, not considering the sort of legalese that are in the contract, but generally speaking, whatever the coverage is and you die within that block period of time, that payout is paid to whomever your beneficiary is. Generally, with term life insurance for seniors, the best plans have what's called level insurance or level premiums. What that means simply is that when you're quoted a price for a term insurance product, let's say you decide to do business, you like this idea, when you get a quote, that price remains the same throughout that block of time. Now, as we'll get into it later, that price can go up at the conclusion of the term insurance plan, as it most commonly does, but for the length of time, the 10, 15, 20 or more, whatever the length of time is, generally speaking, the premiums are level that entire time. I believe, and most people will too, that this is one of the best ways to get the most coverage for the least premium spent. So a lot of people buy term insurance for all sorts of large obligations they need covered. But one of the things that's true is that if you do have a large obligation, and you've even compared this to permanent coverage like whole life or maybe universal life, term insurance, generally speaking, gets you more bang for your buck. You're going to get more coverage for every dollar of premium that you pay compared to other life insurance options. So a lot of people are attracted to term insurance because it has the capability of covering these large financial obligations at a much lower premium than other options. So once you're approved with a term life insurance option, essentially the product works the same just as any term life insurance product. I mean, you may be thinking, well, I'm a senior, this must be something that is different, or maybe is it? Not really. As long as you go through the approval process and you get a decision that says you're approved, then it acts just the same as any other particular type of life insurance. It just, if you get a 15-year term, it lasts for 15 years. If it's 10, it's 10. There's nothing that's uniquely different for you being a senior, is the point I'm trying to make. And bottom line, upon death during the term, the death benefits are paid directly to the beneficiary. So, whatever your reason for purchasing it, which we'll get into in a moment, whomever that beneficiary is receives the money. So, look, bottom line, regardless of you being a senior or shopping for someone who's a senior, term insurance plays the same. It's the same kind of coverage for your age or somebody younger, maybe like myself. Okay, so why should seniors consider buying term life insurance? So there's several reasons why seniors should consider buying a term life insurance program. Now, I'm not going to say that it's the appropriate solution for every circumstance, but what you'll find is that this is a good option for certain circumstances where certain financial obligations must be met if death occurs prior to a certain point in the future. Okay, so a first reason why somebody would buy term insurance is for funeral expenses. Now, this is probably the least likely reason to buy it, but a lot of people buy a small term insurance plan because they look at what's necessary and then compare it to whole life, and they know they need some kind of coverage, but they opt for a term life insurance plan instead because it gives them more coverage for a lesser premium. So a lot of people who are looking for something that may not be able to pay full price go the term insurance route, even for something like a funeral or cremation type of coverage program, and including cremation too. The other thing people buy term life insurance for as seniors is income replacement. Now, this is something you may not have considered, but let's walk you through this scenario. Let's say you're married, you have a spouse, and both of you are on Social Security, or maybe one of you is disabled. Both of you require your incomes combined together to manage, to live, whatever lifestyle that you're at. Now imagine one of you walks out the door and is gone, passes away. Well, that income may not entirely go away. You may assume the pension plan they're paying if you have it set up that way. But most likely what's going to happen is your income will be altered upon your passing or your spouse's passing. The question you have to ask yourself is, how does that affect your lifestyle? Can you pay your bills? Can you pay your mortgage? Can you live in the same type of context that you do today with your spouse alive? If you're not 100% certain that everything will be the same, then you need to consider buying a term insurance plan to cover for income replacement. So it can be small amounts, it can be large amounts, but income replacement plans are excellent ideas to cover because we just don't know when we're going to die, number one. Number two, if you do know your lifestyle is going to be affected, it may cause you to move out of your home or move back in with your kids, and you don't want that to happen, then this is a good reason to buy one, just in case something happens. Another reason people buy term insurance as seniors is it's a gift of love. Maybe they want to leave money behind to somebody they love, they care about, and the best way they know how to do it is to buy an affordable term life insurance plan. I'll give you a perfect example. My grandfather died not too long ago and left behind to my mother a $7,000 Army plan he's had since the 1950s. Well, Mom didn't know about this. She didn't expect it. But when she received it, it was the perfect godsend. She had a rotting roof. She needed it repaired. And those roofs, they ain't cheap. So Grandpa's money went right to the roof. Mom got it taken care of, and she was super excited and happy that she didn't have to go into debt or take out of her own savings to take care of it. So it was a huge help. Another reason to buy a term insurance plan as a senior is mortgage payment protection plan. So this kind of coincides with this income replacement approach. If you think about your mortgage payments that you're paying, and imagine if one of you or your wife or your spouse passes away, how would that affect your income? Well, it may affect you being able to pay your mortgage. So you can purchase a term life insurance plan that pays a lump sum death benefit, which will either A, pay off the mortgage entirely, or B, you can stick into your savings account and then deduct every month the mortgage cost so that the surviving spouse doesn't have to immediately get out of the house in a fire sale situation. It gives breathing room to the surviving spouse so they can pay off these debts, get situated, put the house on the market, maybe clean up the house, and then sell it at top dollar. So it allows for space and time that maybe you otherwise wouldn't have had. Also, term insurance is great for loan pay downs. Maybe you own land, maybe you have credit card debt. You just want enough to take care of these final expenses. These are all great reasons to own a term life insurance as a senior. So let's talk about the best term life insurance available for seniors. So generally speaking, here are the term life insurance options available to seniors. So like I said, kind of talked about earlier, you've got different lengths of time that you can have a term insurance plan, maybe 10, 15, 20, or 30-year term lengths. Again, you can custom tailor this to some extent if these lengths are available at your age. The older you are, you don't necessarily get the longer periods of time available. But the point is you can custom design to some extent the length of time you want your term to last. You also have access to what's called universal life insurance. So universal life insurance, essentially, without going into too broad of a definition, is that it is a hybrid plan that has some characteristics of term insurance as well as some characteristics of permanent insurance. It's a solution we use if we don't have the longer term period of term insurance available because of your age. So let's say you're 75, you're probably not going to get a 30-year term, but you probably could get a universal life plan that will last to 95 or 105 or whatever it is in that length of period of time. So what I'm going to do now is take you over to my quote screen and quickly show you some prices at different levels for $100,000 in term insurance. Now, I'll just tell you, minimums and maximums, we'll get into those later, but we can go less than 100,000. We can definitely go more than 100,000. So, but I'm just going to show you term insurance plans for a 65-year-old female and male, and that's all I'm going to show. But understand, if you're older than that, there's definitely pricing available, carriers that will write you at those ages for most ages above 65. So let me take over the screen, show you some options, and just give you an idea of what's available as a senior. Okay, so I've got you on my screen now, and we're looking at a 10-year level term insurance product for a 65-year-old non-smoking male. And again, the idea here is just to show you some sample rates for what we would consider someone to be who is in excellent health. This is not a quote that I necessarily can qualify you for. Please understand that this is just for educational purposes only. So we can see here $100,000 for 10-year terms will go between low 50s to upper 70s depending on the company that you're ultimately qualified for. For a 10-year term insurance product for females, 65 non-smoker, mid 30s to lower 50s is what you'd be looking at price-wise. Now we've cranked it up to a female 65-year-old. 15-year term is the mid 50s to the lower 70s. A 20-year term for a female who's 65 and doesn't smoke is going to be between the low 70s to mid 90s. And here's a 25-year term for $100,000 for a 65-year-old female non-smoker. You can see different pricings available depending on your eligibility and health availability. So here's a 15-year term for males, 65 non-smoker, $100,000 in coverage, upper 60s to mid 90s. A 20-year term is going to be basically around $100 to $130 a month. And a 25-year term, $100,000, 65-year-old term is going to be mid 150s to 200s. So what I'm showing you on the screen here is a no lapse guarantee universal life program. These are what I would suggest using if 25-year terms are just not enough time. And these are more permanent in design, so they last a little bit longer. With specifically, if you're looking at the Sagicor, if you can qualify for that product, it would be basically permanent coverage if you continue to pay the same premium that you start off with, as long as you keep it and as long as you're alive. This is 65-year-old female non-smokers. And if we look at males, $100,000, 65-year-old non-smokers, you're looking at, again, 200s to upper 200s. So those were just, again, sample prices. I can't stress enough that these are not guarantees that you can even qualify for them. Your health will have an impact on your eligibility for insurance. Don't want to pull the punches here. It's just the God honest truth. Your health is unique, and will have immediate and direct impacts on your insurability. And the best way to figure this out, what you can qualify for, is to simply contact me, and I'll be happy to run a quote for you and show you what your options would be, and then proceed from there. So now we're going to talk about riders and what are they and how and why you should consider them. So riders simply are just like add-ons or upgrades to your life insurance policy that give you additional benefits beyond just the death benefit payout. So available riders, depending on the companies, include the following: stuff like critical illness payouts. So these would be if you got diagnosed with cancer or a stroke or heart attack, you get a payout to yourself. And the idea behind this is it's a living benefit. You can take that money, pay doctor's bills, pay for travel expenses. If you say you have cancer and you go back and forth to get chemotherapy, this just offsets all the expenses involved with a lot of these critical illnesses you may come down with. There's also, at some points with some products, what's available is what's called return of premium, where if you pay the entirety of the insurance product and you get to the very end of paying it in, those premiums are refunded to you. It does cost a substantial amount more, but it is appealing to some people with the idea that, hey, I can get my money back after paying all those years. There's also what's called an accelerated death benefit with some of these plans, where essentially if you're diagnosed with a terminal medical illness, then the insurance company will pay a portion of your death benefit before you die. So that way you can manage your affairs while you're alive versus allowing someone else after you're passed. Also, nursing home riders to offset some of the costs if you are put into a nursing home. And understand that these will add additional cost to your life insurance plan. These are not free. They're just like going to a car dealership and upgrading from regular seats to leather interior. It's going to cost you more money. It's just the way it is. And if this is something you're interested in, some of these insurance plans, not all of them, it may not even be available to you at this age. It just depends. May be available to you. So, just wanted to let you know. Also, maybe you're asking, hey, should I get an exam? Or maybe you're saying, I don't want an exam. I don't like the idea of being poked and prodded. I go to the doctors as it is enough anyway. So let's talk about exams and if they're necessary. So in qualifying for term life insurance, examinations are sometimes, but not always, required, okay? It's going to depend on the amount of coverage. It's going to depend on the amount of the type of product or even company you go with. And when an exam is done, usually what happens is you got to pee in a cup. They do draw blood from you, and they do give you some sort of physical. They're going to ask you a series of health questions. They're going to make you weigh in. They're going to do your height and weight. This is all stuff that is customary whenever you do a physical. Now, some carriers only require a signature for approval, so this is pretty neat. These are what's called non-medical exam or non-medical policies. The concept behind this is very simple. You sign off on it, and then all the medical records are pulled off from your doctors or from a medical database, and then insurability is determined from that. That simplifies the process and allows a lot of these exam fears to be completely eliminated. Some literally just require a phone interview. So the only reason I would suggest taking an exam is if, first of all, you're in tip-top shape. A lot of companies begin to get a little bit leery about insuring a senior without an exam over certain amounts of coverage. Again, it depends on the companies. It depends on the amount of coverage. But if you are getting a lot of coverage, it's probably worth your time to get an exam because getting an exam is the most up-to-date information that the insurer has to determine your insurability. So usually if you're healthy enough, you get a much better price for taking an exam. I wouldn't take an exam if you're looking for a small amount of coverage, and that's usually under $100,000 in coverage. Again, it just depends on the circumstances. At those levels, most companies have competitive products available. If you work with a broker like me, I can shop it around and find the company that's not going to do an exam but still give you a really good rate. So let's talk about that. How much coverage can you get? How much do you want is really the question they answer. So as long as you work with an independent life insurance agent, you really should have access to how much ever you really need. I work with companies that start at $25,000 in term life insurance for seniors. Some others will start at $50,000. Again, it depends on the company. Maximums, if you don't want an exam, range from $250,000 to $400,000. Again, little broad brush here. It's just going to depend on circumstances, but that's just kind of a top level amount. Over above that, if you want millions of dollars in coverage, it can be done, but you're probably going to have to get an examination. Again, just par for the course. So what if your health is bad? We've talked about how we can do exams or not. but maybe you're just flat out concerned if you do any kind of exam or even have to answer any health questions, it's going to be a bad outcome. So the short question is, even if you have bad health, quote unquote, if you think what you think is bad, yes, you can qualify for some kind of life insurance. Now, again, the long answer, it just depends on really what the definition of bad health is. So let me give you some examples of bad health that I think are not eligible for a term insurance, but may be for what's called a simplified issue whole life insurance plan or final expense plan or some kind of guaranteed issue. So if you've got COPD, if you've got, for example, severe diabetes, insulin dependency, you've got diabetic neuropathy, complications of diabetes, recent cancer, heart issues, liver, kidney problems, you've been hospitalized for something serious in the past year, and severe behavioral issues or even cognitive problems. These are going to be problems getting coverage, okay, with term insurance, flat out. It's probably a much better direction to go to get coverage with one of these alternatives. So if you fit that bill, if you think you have bad health and you think what I just mentioned fits you, here are some non-term life insurance options. So you may want to consider what's called first day full coverage, final expense life insurance. The idea behind this is that final expense coverage is what's called simplified issue. They only go back the last couple of years to come up with insurability decisions, and they don't require an exam. So a lot of people will go this route if their health is just deteriorated, but they know it's important to have some kind of coverage on the books. There's also what's called return of premium coverage. This is if literally nothing works. Your health is just not good enough for anything other than this. This will refund your premiums you paid in if you die within the first 2 years, but beyond that, you're fully covered. So first day coverage, like I said, you're fully covered for natural accidental death from the effective date of the policy, again, in a simplified issue whole life policy. And a return of premium guaranteed issue plan, you got to wait 2 years for natural death coverage. And the only reason I'd consider a return of premium plan is if literally no other options exist. So how seniors can qualify for a term life insurance program? It's very simple, actually. You just simply pick an agent you like. Hopefully that's me. I'll nominate myself. I can definitely help you. The next step would be to have me talk to you to get an idea of what you're looking for, draw you up a quote, and assuming you like the quote, we would simply apply for coverage. I'd either mail you an application, but probably more likely just email it to you or do it over the phone. You definitely don't need to see me in 99% of circumstances nowadays. Usually it takes a day, couple days, couple weeks, but you'll get a decision, and if it's good, you'll be approved for coverage. If not, we'll just take it from there. Sometimes another company will do it. Several weeks later, you usually get your policy, and literally that is all you need to do to get the best term life insurance as a senior. So if you're interested in qualifying for term life insurance, here's what you do. Go to buylifeinsuranceforburial.com, click the contact box or the box below, and send me a message. Let me send you a free quote after I ask you some health questions, or simply call me at 888-626-0439. We can speak live, and I'm happy to help you out that way. If you call that number and I don't pick up, leave a voicemail. I do take a lot of calls during the day, and I'm not necessarily readily available at all times. If you like this video, please comment below, subscribe, and thumbs it up. And thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your time today. Take care.